Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Van Helsing. I would make the argument that just a downer of a freaking episode. I think this is probably the most depressing Van Helsing episode ever. Holy crap. It's just a downer after gut punch. It's like, fuck this episode. It's a good episode, but it just kind of makes you go, ugh. It makes you just feel defeated and just broken by the end. It's like, shit, dude. Okay, so let's break down this depressing ass episode. Holy shit. Okay, so we have Axel constantly meeting up with survivors. It's like, is that his thing? Like, he's run into the most survivors over the course of this series, more than anyone else, which I think is just so fascinating. There's people he picked up in the truck when he's driving by. We didn't see it, but I guess he just dropped them off somewhere. They gave him stuff in exchange. He's waiting for Scarlet, which I'd completely missed that aspect of like, oh yeah, like we're going to meet up here, for Scarlet, which is like, huh. Which, is going to be less likely now that we know that, obviously she's stuck on an island and everything, so getting back's not going to be the easiest thing. I don't even know how the hell she's going to manage to do that. I mean, she could always swim, I guess, but that's still a long-ass way to swim. It's the whole point of a boat, but maybe with her new situation, maybe she can manage it. She's pretty damn tough, so it's not like it's impossible, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. But then, lo and behold, meets up with another group, who, interesting enough, there's a girl, Kelly, in it, who is Harper from the 100. I was like, what? I'm losing my mind. Is she a Canadian actress? I'm curious about that, because I think I've talked about it before. I'm pretty sure Syfy films its stuff. Probably, I think all its stuff gets recorded in like Vancouver, where like everything gets recorded typically, just because it's like it's cheaper and all that stuff. Because I know a lot of CW stuff is filmed in there, so that's why I'm kind of like, is she a Canadian actor? I mean, just because you're on the CW or just filming in that area doesn't mean you're Canadian necessarily. I mean, there's probably a good chance she is, but she could just as easily be American too. But I'm curious about that whole situation. Because it's like I've seen so many actors from different shows, like sci-fi stuff as well as CW stuff, kind of pop up in other things. Like more recently was like the actor who plays Julius. Played a security guard in this season of Arrow, and the actress who played Doc, I think she popped up last season in an episode of Supernatural, and once again, this is Harper from the 100, so it's kind of like, yeah. Which that was also an interesting thing, too, because you could tell she was kind of feeling Axel a little bit, because at one point when he's coming back in the room, she's kind of like readjusting herself, and I'm like, oh, snap. But in that same time, it's like, nah, I kind of got my lady waiting for me, and she's like, it's been 6 weeks, and he's like, what? He's like, yeah, since I had someone special too, it's been 6 weeks since they were gone, so it's kind of like, you might want to pick up a box of something else while you're out there. I'm like, oh, okay, and he's kind of like, oh, you don't have to sell yourself, but she got pissed because I guess it's like, oh, don't assume my situation, you don't know me, we don't know you, so it's just, I guess she, obviously took offense to it. There's Carter, who was kind of like the badass boss of the group, who kind of doesn't like Axel. I guess she just doesn't like people she doesn't really know all that well, so Axel ends up meeting Lauren, a guy he used to work for all those years ago, but sadly, he explains everything. Him and Lauren kind of hash it out a little bit and talk, but then Lauren kind of repeats the conversation. It seems like he's got a little bit of dementia going on, and it's like, oh, and that's kind of heartbreaking, because it's like, oh, he doesn't even remember Axel. Then, they had this plan to go get some more supplies, but Lauren kind of goes off on his own, because the whole thing of, he wants to be useful. He doesn't want to feel like, he kind of wants to feel like the leader of the group. We kind of already saw him kind of snap at Axel when he's like, oh, don't tell me about these a pharaoh is a pharaoh, and I've killed so many pharaohs that he doesn't know, trying to play tough and stuff like that. But Kelly sadly ends up getting killed. She gets bit, but Axel has to put her down. So I was like, that's partly depressing. Then you see Carter kind of flipping out because she sees the basement doors open. I was like, oh, what's up with that? And then lo and behold, it turns out, oh, that's actually Axel's sister, Polly. Oh, another added bonus. It turns out the reason why she has a thing for basements because that's where she was locked up. Oh, who was she locked up by? Lauren. And it's like, it was one thing after another, dude. And it's like, even Axel's like, wait, what? I literally worked for that dude for such a long time. I had such good memories with him. Literally at the beginning of the episode, Axel's like, man, I hope you made it, dude. And it's like, now it turns out he was looking everywhere for his sister. She's been, all the time that they could have been together, he stole that from Axel, and now it's like she's up there. I guess it was a stray bullet from him firing and stuff like that, and now she's dying again. She literally died in his arms. He found her after all this time. You know what? Because this show is good at being like, no one gets to be happy. Because let's not forget, literally the same thing happened with Vanessa. Vanessa got her daughter back after all these years. She's like, oh, I knew that you were alive. I had a feeling. Got her back, obviously turned her back to human, and then lost her just like that. And for Axel, it's like, oh, I thought you were dead. Wait, I found out you're my sister while you're dying. It's like, could you make it even harder of a sucker punch to the gut? It's like, Jesus, dude. And then Axel puts him down when, like, because Polly had talked about the fact that she had forgiven him, which Axel's like, what the hell do you mean you forgave him? Because I guess it's almost like this Stockholm Syndrome type of thing of like, even when it was all said and done, he's kind of all she had left of the past. Everything and everyone else was gone, so I guess that was kind of all she had left to hold on to. But also, she knew all that anger and stuff is what was in the basement. That's why she was scared of the basement, because it was a reminder of all the pain and anger she left there. And she forgiven Lauren, because it's like, for one, he doesn't even remember it. And when he did remember it, he apologized to her. So she felt the need to forgive him. But you have Axel going out, you know. He was almost going, it seemed like he was going to let him go until Lauren mentioned Polly's name, and then, like, Axel emptied a clip into him. It almost makes you feel bad for those other two dudes, too, because like they're the only ones left, because Lauren's gone, Polly's gone, Kelly's gone, the lady that died at the beginning. It's like, dude, they're on their own. Not unless they decide to go with Axel, but I wonder, I mean, I'd assume Axel explained the situation, because he ended up going back to bury Polly. But it's like I said, it's just a sucker punch of an episode. It's just kind of like, geez, he's waiting for Scarlett, not knowing Scarlett's current situation, and stumbles into all of this, and it's just like, ugh, you know, like, because you can make the argument this makes matters worse, because it's like, yeah, at the very least, he thought Polly was gone. It sucked. It wasn't an easy thing to deal with, but he was just a fact. But now it's like, in the moment you find out she's alive again, you lose her all over again. And now you know. Because maybe in some shape or form he was thinking maybe she was out there somewhere, you know. But now it's like he now knows fully that she's gone, you know. And because he will always blame himself, because it's like, I wasn't there to protect you. I didn't look after you like I should have, because it was my responsibility. But Polly was telling him it's not his fault. The fact of the matter is, she's like, I should have listened to you. And it's just, you know, he just said he needed my help with something and went with him, because like obviously you trusted him. And sadly, someone Axel even trusted, you know. Like, it's just a heart-wrenching situation. Then on top of all of that, you had the whole Sam situation, which going back for Muhammad, and he's screaming out for Muhammad. So I guess it is a situation that he knows he needs to kill Muhammad, but I guess it's for him, it's like, oh, Muhammad's escaped my grasp, so there's no way for me to do what I need to and want to do to really live my destiny. Ends up running into the Johnsons. It's Michael, right? The other one is Chad, but I think that one's Michael. And Michael kind of, because it turns into this whole interesting conversation about the heart. Because for Sam, he feels like his heart is his weakness. Like, that's the whole point of killing Muhammad. Because by killing Muhammad, he's able to kill the last bit of light that might be in his heart. Because it's like Muhammad's the only thing that keeps the love in his heart. And so, you know, it turns into that whole thing of like, I want to say his name is Michael. It's kind of like, it's impossible for you to love, which he's like, no, I can love, and that's the problem, you know? Which is like, it's almost hard, because in a weird, twisted way, he does care about Muhammad, which is interesting considering the fact is he was going to kill Muhammad. Let's not let that slip our mind. Like, he set everything in motion so that he could kill Muhammad. That was the whole point. He killed Felix because it's like, oh, I tried, but I just can't love him. Like the way, like he tried with Felix, and he wept when he killed Felix, because he thought, it's like, no, this is my chance to love. But it's like, nope, the only person he loves is Muhammad. And now it's like, if I want to get rid of this illness, this sin, this sickness that is love, I'm going to have to kill him. So he ends up reaching into, I'm sitting here thinking about, I know their last name is, they're the Johnsons, but I want to say his name was Michael. I'm sitting here struggling on that, getting so caught up in that detail, but I think that was it. I don't remember. But nevertheless, it's just literally reaching into his chest and just crushing his heart while Chad is watching. And he's like, you know, he never thought he'd find love, least of all in the apocalypse. It made everything that he lost a little bit easier, because he found something through it all, you know? And you have Sam just walking away from it. You know, it's like, oh, I gotta kill Muhammad, if I want to, get my destiny, and you have like the seer being like, oh, he's with Vanessa, track him down, and you can get your destiny, and Chad's just left there crying. It's like, dude, can that group not get fucked over too? It's like, once again, that's why I'm like, dude, this is a downer of an episode. It's just kind of like, bam, lost, bam, 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 like over and over again, dude. There is no upside to this episode, dude. So, obviously, like, Sam is heading towards the crypt, following Vanessa, which we still don't know what that whole Vanessa and Muhammad situation is going to be like. To be fair, we still don't 100% know what Muhammad... Because once again, it's something I keep pointing out, like, when it comes to this whole situation, we've never actually seen what Axel's capable of. We've seen, like, what happens to Phil. We saw what happened to Julius, but we've never really seen it pop up too much with Axel. It might be something that just happens in between episodes. So Muhammad's like that too. So it's definitely going to be interesting when Muhammad, Vanessa, and Sam cross paths. Like, who's going to be the one to finally put him down? Like, I feel like out of anyone, it's got to be Muhammad. But if Muhammad does, I think it will break his heart, because, like, on some level, no matter what, Sam is like the best friend that he had, so it's still going to crush his heart to do it. Maybe that's kind of the whole point. The whole thing is that maybe either way, whoever, either this is going to set up Muhammad to be in that position, or is going to set Sam up. I mean, like, that's kind of felt like it was meant to be like, oh, they're supposed to collide, but maybe the whole point was for them to collide so that Sam could kill Muhammad. Maybe in this Sears, because I brought up the whole, like, Kara situation of how, like, I was like, oh yeah, because it seemed like they were supposed to collide with each other in that regard. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm like, was it supposed to be like it could go either way, or was it always meant to be like, oh no, Muhammad be there because Sam will always obviously kill him? So it's hard to say in that regard. I mean, to be fair, where he is now, like, what Muhammad's probably potentially backing with this whole, like, being one of the people changed by Vanessa, who knows? I mean, once again, that's kind of a sad thing too. It's like, amongst everyone still alive, they're all, well, I'm about to say that, but let's not forget Susan is dead. But amongst, like, the main people that she's turned, like, Susan is the only one that is dead. Subsequently, since she started turning people, like, after Doc and the whole season 2 situation, like, they're all kind of left to keep living after their respective situations. We get her, like, Denver comes up in conversation, but, like, I'm sure this is probably, news hasn't really spread about the whole Denver situation, so I'm curious to get back to that and see what that's up to, but also, like, what Vanessa and Muhammad are up to. Phil went looking for his wife. Jolene was on the same bus, potentially. Like I said, we didn't see Phil, but we saw that. There's, like, last time we had Julius being like, oh, he's going to kill Scab for the whole Frankie thing, and Doc trying to go after Jolene, but like I said, Denver falling apart like it is. So I'm very interested to see what the next episode has in store for us. Hopefully, like, I'm not saying that this is going to be a chipper show. It's a horror show, so it's never great. But like I said, this episode to just beat you down. I feel like it's kind of interesting too, because it's like an end of the season episode too, because there's like 2 episodes left this season, and it's like this is the 11th episode, and it's kind of a beat you down episode. At least that's how I feel about it. Maybe other people don't necessarily feel like that, but I just feel like it was just such a depressing ass episode. So the next episode, hopefully slightly more upbeat. Maybe there's a little more a little more fun. Necessarily some more action, some ass kicking to kind of offset the depression in some regard, because I feel like that typically offsets things of like, oh yeah, some of the bit of action, I mean, there was action in this episode too, but it just, like I said, I feel like it just gets outweighed by all the, like, sadness in this episode. But nevertheless, really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.